Hey, what's up?
Hey, so double the fun today. Marathon run, two shows in one day. My God, what have we gotten ourselves into?
I, we'll find out soon. As that
Yeah,
Michael like so he should be in here soon.
yeah. Give it a minute to catch up with processing. I hate how I have to switch over between music friendly StreamYard to talking friendly StreamYard. I hate that. I don't know why they can't fix that. But without the music to begin and end, it just feels like it loses some ambiance, no matter what Strange thinks about it. So, but yeah, Zach should be
Did you
along.
send Zach the link for this?
I did.
Oh, okay.
It was like at the last minute. I've forgotten to send it out to anybody, but you said Michael should be along shortly as well.
Yeah, Michael Salerno is going to be our guest.
Alrighty. There's Zach. Uh, Not to be confused with the moving GIF file novel that our upcoming guest wrote, Zach's Haunted House. That's Zach with a C.
Oh, well, no, he didn't write them. He just
I
published them. Dennis Cooper wrote them.
meant to say published. Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
impressive feat to have anything to do with Dennis Cooper. I read The Marbled Swarm, and I think that it would be. Did I mute Zach?
No, he's apparently having technical problems.
Zach,
Okay, can y'all hear me?
yes. It
Yeah,
said
okay.
you said that you muted yourself. Anyway, The Marbled Swarm is I would say it's a masterpiece, and that it would make a great transgressive cinema film along the lines of Serbian film, Melancholy der Engel, what else? Cannibal Holocaust, that sort of endurance round type of movie, midnight movie. Wouldn't you agree, Ben? You've read it, right?
Yeah, it would make an interesting movie because it's a very formalist kind of book. Actually, it intentionally like spirals around to the same kind of idea over and over again.
But I mean, there's some great imagery in that book. Like, for instance, well, when a certain character dies and is just, and I'm not going to say who, because I'm trying to work on my spoilerism or whatever. Apparently, he describes the dead character lying there as like a crocodile with distended jaws or something, if I'm remembering right. And that was pretty ingenious. And also the Flatsos, which are like anime cosplayers or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that part.
Okay,
And
so here's our guest. We're reminiscing about the Marbled Swarm, which you probably read, right, Michael?
Yes. Hey. Yes, I have
He-
read it.
What did you think of the Flatsos?
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
You actually published, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a chapbook of outtakes from the Marbled Swarm under Kitty Punk, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's called French Hole, which is, a great title.
Yeah. What exactly was French Hole? I remember it was like described as sort of outtakes.
Yeah, it's
from
kind
the
of
Marbled Swarm.
exactly. Yeah, it's outtakes, like a bunch of, I don't know, 22 or something like that, if I remember correctly. Kind of outtakes from the book. So.
And how did you come to publish that under Kitty Punk?
That came about. I've been friends with Dennis for a long time, and so I think at that point I was working on putting together a bunch of zines that I was going to publish with my press, Kitty Punk, and so I was just basically asking a bunch of friends, if they wanted to do something, and I asked Dennis, and that was something that he had that he could give, and so yeah, it was him and Thomas Moore and a bunch of other people.
What was not suitable for a book like Marbled Swarm that he had to take it out? Did it interrupt the flow of the story? Was it something too extreme even for his tastes, or what?
I mean, you'd probably have to ask him, but Dennis is a real editor. So, from what I understand of his process, he writes, a lot, and then really just spends a long time, many years, kind of editing and refining and things like that. So I presume he would have taken, certain sections out if they disrupted something else that was going on that he was trying to convey. Or
what was
like
the name
that.
of the outtake? What was the name of the outtakes novel, sir?
It's called French Hold.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
And that's actually it's out of print as a separate thing, but it's in the Kitty Punk Collected compendium, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a copy of that ordered. So I'm still waiting for it to come.
Okay. Yeah. The post at the moment is like very erratic and slow.
Yeah, I know. Especially if you order something from overseas.
Yeah. It's also random though, because I've had people tell me that things have arrived to the US, from here in Paris in, a few days, and then other people it took like 3 months for something to arrive. So it just seems to be all over the place at the moment.
Yeah, because I ordered both Bosun by New Che and that Kitty Punk Collected, and Bosun came, but Kitty
really?
Punk Collected hasn't. So
Yeah.
I assume it's just customs holding it for some reason.
Yeah, I mean they would have been sent at the same time. So if you ordered them at the same time, I presume. So yeah, I don't know.
But you've also published all of Dennis Cooper's GIF novels. I think the first one was Zach's Haunted House, and just this week you published the newest one, Zach's Drug Binge.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, they're basically novels that are told exclusively with animated GIFs. For people that are unfamiliar with them. So
How do you, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir, but I just have got to know, how do you monetize something like that, or is it free? Or is it
no, you don't. Those are just totally free. Also because, the GIFs just come from, the internet, and, you're using images that could be from movies or things like that. So it's just free. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he calls them novels, and I personally consider them more like web art. But when you publish them, like how exactly does the process of that work? Does he have the coding for the website that he gives you, or does he give you the GIFs and an outline of what it's going to be?
Yeah, he gives me all the GIFs, and they're obviously they're sequenced, and they're it's they're all going in a specific order, and he just gives them to me, and then I do the design, and yeah, it's pretty simple, really.
Cool. What is the theme? I don't think you've explained what the theme is of Zach's Haunted House. I mean, is it telling obviously a non-linear story?
Yeah, I mean, these are all questions that you'd really have to ask Dennis, but yeah, the beauty about these, GIF novels to me is that they're very open. So you can kind of, you can take them in whatever way you really want to. I'm not sure that they necessarily, each one follows on from the next. And they've kind of changed. His process has kind of changed in the latest one that just came out last week, the Zach's Drug Binge. It's it's just usually kind of little, 2 images on a page, and then you go to the next page, and whereas the older ones were kind of, these very long scrolls of GIFs. So yeah, so it's different, but I don't want to say too much about that because it's it's not really my thing.
So to kind of go back, Kitty Punk started off as a zine, didn't it?
Yeah, it originally started as a zine, I think in 2001, ages ago, and it was just something that I kind of was just doing by myself with no real intention of, definitely no intention of it becoming a publishing house or anything like that. But I made a couple of issues of this kiddie punk zine, and then I moved on and started making some other zines, and just decided to put them out under the name Kiddie Punk, and that kind of went on for several years, and then it kind of reached a point where I was like, okay, I feel like it would be fun to kind of branch out and start releasing other people's stuff. So I started doing that, and it's kind of just organically kind of turned into a publishing house without me necessarily kind of wanting it to be. So, which is great. It's one of those things. But I mean, for me, it's kind of like it's very much it's a part of my art in a way, because I'm a visual artist and a filmmaker, and so I kind of view Kiddie Punk as an extension of that, and it has a very it's very focused, thematically. We usually just do things that are related to childhood in some sort of way. So yeah, in some ways it's kind of like I feel like it's an extension of some of the worlds that I create with my visual artwork.
So what's up with the kind of like focus on childhood? Does it come from just like a love of like I guess coming of age type stories, or is it something a little different?
No, it's probably something a little different. It's just, yeah, I mean, look, for me to kind of articulate my artwork is, practically impossible. I'm like terrible at being able to do that. And, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's it's just something that I seem to obsessively do over and over and over again.
Well, but see, you're in a different medium right now, though, and see, I've learned that you really have to give listeners more in this kind of medium than to leave things kind of vague. And so I'm also kind of wondering, what is the catharsis from it? Is it embodying some childhood angst or tone that you carry through life, or you say it's a subconscious mechanism almost? But I guess we're curious if there's what else there is about it.
The important thing for me, the thing that I kind of focus, if we're talking about my artwork specifically, I really kind of view them as interior landscapes. That's the kind of phrase that I always kind of, that's what I feel like I'm creating when I'm doing them. And so, for me, it's all about expressing a particular emotion, expressing a particular mood, and kind of creating something that feels like it expresses, this kind of obviously something within me, but it's something that is very much rooted in childhood and obviously my own childhood. But I think a lot of the times it's something that it's a place that I'm trying to articulate that is kind of beyond language. Like if you think about children, they don't really have the ability to articulate very clearly, what they're feeling. And there's something about childhood that's the thing that's really kind of compelling to me, is that everything when you're a child just kind of takes on this gargantuan, overblown kind of quality. And that's something that I find really interesting. And I think, if you look at my artwork, it is kind of everything's overblown. The emotions are, way over the top. The fear is way over the top. Everything's kind of way over the top. And I think, that's kind of why, because it all kind of takes place for me, comes from this specific place.
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
So you've also made a few, like you say, you're also a filmmaker. I did go through your website. You talked about how the first feature film you tried to put together completely fell apart.
Yeah, it fell apart not in the shooting of it, but it fell apart kind of in my brain while I was editing it. and I spent years kind of editing this thing, and I would work on it, and then I would go away, then I would come back and do more work on it, and then some time had passed, and I kind of opened the film back up to go into it, and I kind of really felt like the film was haunted, and but really sincerely, it kind of freaked me out, and I was just like, okay, I just cannot look at this thing anymore. I cannot work on it. I cannot show it to anybody because I felt like it was going to, ruin my life if I did that. So yeah, that was the start of my feature filmmaking career.
Yeah. Have you made any attempts at any other? Have you made any attempts at any other feature films, or are you just sticking to short films at the moment?
Yes, I shot one last year, actually, which I'm editing at the moment. So it's a film called Giant, and I wrote it with a friend of mine who's also a novelist. His name's Mark Gluth, and we wrote this script together, and it was based on an idea that I've had kind of in my head for 20 years or something. So, and we spent 5 years writing the script, and then last year we shot the film, and now I'm editing. So.
Okay. You also did a series called Cartoons, which I watched a couple episodes of that, and it seems to be about this sort of interviews with people who were victims of a tornado disaster in Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a very, very, very long-standing obsession with tornadoes and strange weather phenomenon. And with that series, there was a huge tornado in, what year was it? I can't even remember. 2015, I'm going to guess. And there was a massive tornado in Oklahoma, and I saw it on the news and just decided to jump on a plane. So I headed over to Oklahoma, and without knowing anybody or really having any connections with anything, but just with the intention that I was going to go there and make a film about tornadoes. So I did that, and it was amazing. It was really amazing. And yeah, the people I met were incredibly friendly and just super fascinating, resilient kind of people. People that had literally just had their entire lives ripped apart, their houses gone, and some of them almost died. And it was fascinating.
What was his name? The janitor that wrote that like sprawling 1,000-page novel or whatever.
Henry Dodger.
Yeah. He also had an obsession with storms and tornadoes to the extent that he wrote his memoir, and it largely devolved into like a 50 or 100-page description of this tornado ripping through everything. I thought that was fascinating, that beside this epic fantasy that he wrote exclusively for himself, he had time to go off in this other direction, writing about a tornado that takes over his memoir, like it would rip through someone's real life. I always thought the juxtaposition there was ironic.
Yeah, I love that story. I love Henry Dodger in general, and I love that story. I would kill to be able to read that, but I don't think it's been published. So I think little extracts, here and there, but yeah.
Yeah, it'd be difficult to publish like Henry Dodger books in full. They're over 1,000 pages and have like a ton of very detailed artwork. But
he's an amazing it's an amazing story, and he's an amazing artist, and it's incredible.
Someone should have been his his go-between between him and the art world to kind of advocate for him, because it was all this was squandered, and he lived in the most remote solitude because he didn't think the world could appreciate this.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, literally nobody knew that this was going on inside his little apartment. Yeah, I
remember hearing that when when he was in the hospital dying, and like his landlord and stuff found like all his artwork, they went to him and said that they thought it was amazing and such. And he just kind of looked at them and went, "Too late."
Yeah. Well, that is sad. That's funny, but it's also incredibly sad.
Yeah, his whole story is incredibly sad.
Yeah, Kafka, he asked his best friend, or I don't know, attorney at will, or what do they call it? Attorney
is an executive estate.
Yes. I'm bad with stuff today because I know I've got to save some energy for tonight. But Max Brod, I think was his name. Kafka asked him to burn everything upon his death, and he thought better of it and gave it to the literature world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, no artist should let their work just perish in post mortem. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame. When you look at someone like Henry Darger, you can say, yeah, it's a shame. But also there's this other aspect of it that's it is a beautiful idea, and to just kind of exclusively do something purely for yourself. And there's something also really beautiful about that. I mean, not everything needs to be seen, and that's something that I've learnt myself over the years. It's like I don't need to, for something to have value, it doesn't need to be out there in the world, because it has value to me, and it has value, in its creation, and it has value in its I spent a bazillion years, editing things, and specifically for the reason that they actually give something to me. It's like a private little world, and I can go back to that world whenever I want. So, I do sometimes have trouble finishing things for that reason, because it's like I don't really want it to be finished, and I like to be able to, if I need, they're like friends. Especially with my films, I kind of view them as friends. And so it's like, sometimes you need that friend, and you need to go back there, and you need to be able to like kind of exist in that world because you get something out of it. So yeah, there's definitely two sides to the story, but I'm all for that everything doesn't have to be seen to be of value. So.
But if you're truly proud of it, wouldn't you want to share it with someone, even one other person? That's the thing. I've always had trouble finishing things. I'm sure way more often than you do. And it's like when I do finally finish something, which is very rare, I want to just cheaply just throw it at anybody who will listen to me. And it's raw, it's impulsive, but that's why I think I have trouble finishing things as well, is because I want to be stuck in the middle of that story forever.
Sure. Yes. I don't know. I have many things that I've never shown anyone, and don't really have any intention on showing anybody. So, but that's just me.
Yeah. I suppose to go back a little bit, what got you into what got you motivated to put together the original Kitty Punk zine, and put the art in there, and get I think you had JT Leroy and Dennis Cooper in that zine as well. What motivated you to start that?
It was, I guess, my introduction to zines kind of really came from the Riot Girl kind of thing, which I was very into as a kid. And so that was kind of my introduction to the world of zines. And then I kind of just decided, hey, that, it just seems like something that I wanted to do. And so I just kind of did it. And I don't really know why I did it. But basically that first Kitty Punk zine was kind of more of a traditional, magazine type thing. So there was interviews, and there was, short fiction, and there was stuff like that mixed with art. And then I kind of did that and realized, pretty quickly that wasn't so much what I was interested in. And so the next kind of things that I did were just exclusively kind of these, weird little art zines. Yeah, so it started, as a very traditional kind of, zine thing, and then, pretty quickly morphed into something else, which kind of in turn, making those early zines definitely informed my visual art that came, shortly after that, and, which informed my, films and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
So what got you into filmmaking and deciding that you wanted to do films?
With the films, it was that was always the thing that I was interested in ever since I was really as long as I can remember, and I've been kind of making films since I was like 7 or 8 years old. My family got a handy cam, and I started basically by shooting, just filming outside my bedroom window, which is a habit that I've had for a long, 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 long time. And I have, hundreds and hundreds of hours of clouds and skies and rain, falling against the glass, and, essentially nothing. But so I started doing that, and I just started making movies when I was a kid, and I never really thought or intended on being a visual artist. To me, I was always wanted to be a filmmaker, and then the zines and the publishing and the visual art kind of just happened later. Yeah.
So the bulk of your work seems to be photography and collages.
Yes.
And it does seem to a big theme does seem to be like a kids juxtaposed with either disasters or destruction or photos that are very water damaged. Where that seems to come from a similar place with your interest in tornadoes and such.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what do you think was the catalyst for that theme?
I think just it goes back to what I was saying before. It's like, look, I don't know. That's the truth. The truth of it is I don't know. And look, there's like something that's very kind of important to me, and I always purposely steer away from analysis or kind of intellectualizing things, because I feel like if I do that, it's like there's just becomes no point in making the work anymore. So I kind of I purposely try not to think about those sorts of things. But to kind of answer your question, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is the place where I feel like a lot of my work comes from, which is from my own childhood, and it's not that I had this horrific childhood or anything like that. I get asked that all the time, like what the fuck is wrong with you, basically. And which is a fair question, and I'm sure there's plenty wrong with me, but yeah, it just kind of comes from it really does kind of come from this unconscious place, and I don't create that work very often. It can be years between making that kind of work, because I only do it when I have this kind of massive well up of feeling and kind of emotion that just needs to come out, and that's when I make that kind of work, and I make a lot of work in a very, very short period of time, and then it just kind of it goes away, and I don't do that anymore. I focus on doing other things, so it just kind of happens like that, and it's just kind of the way that it is. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't give you a better explanation than that.
Yeah, well, I did look into some interviews, and you said that it's not for everyone's taste, and you're totally fine with that. What are the sessions themselves like? I mean, are there guardians standing by?
What are the what like? Sorry, what did you say?
The subjects of these photographs are there guardians on standby when this goes on? Do you have a handler?
No, most of those things. I mean, in the collages, they're they're literally just images that I found. So they're all found images.
Oh,
Yeah, the majority of the time anyway. They're found images. So yeah, there's none of that, and that's partly why I what led me to kind of doing those kind of work was also, it's like impossible to it's very difficult to find kids to make this kind of work, especially because nobody's going to give their children to say, hey, sure, like rip them apart and whatever. Like yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. A lot of the work does have this very disquieting feeling about it.
Yeah.
Yes. But
yeah, it is definitely not for everybody.
well, when you explain it like that, though, it's like it's all found, like pieces, all fragments, all squashed together.
Yeah.
That does kind of change my own perception a tiny bit. I found some of them uncomfortable, and I know that was probably your goal in a different way than the uncomfortable that I feel. But to know that they're not actually, that they're just appropriated from other places, that might change it a little bit,
Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty intense if I was literally, seeking out children to do that specifically, too.
Well, see, that's why my first impression was one of skepticism, because I didn't know that, So. I mean, no, disrespect. It's just we're living in an age that is very insidious with this sort of thing. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, this, my work is definitely not, definitely nowhere near, even most people's taste at all. And it shouldn't be. It's not really designed to be. So. And it's just it's just personal. It's just personal work that I do, and I was making this stuff and kind of very slowly started putting things online. And like I said, I never intended I definitely never intended to be an artist, and I don't even like the word artist really. I never intended for that, and I definitely never intended to kind of have people be visible for doing this kind of thing. It was just a personal thing that I was doing, and slowly just started kind of coming out there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I did notice that on your older works you used a name which was something like Aspen Michael Taylor or something like that.
Yeah.
I assumed because you didn't want your real name attached to it at the time.
No, that actually was my real name.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, so it's reversed. Michael Salerno sounds more like your real name than the Aspen Michael Taylor one.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. That was my birth name, was Michael Salerno. But then when I was a teenager, I changed my name legally, and that was my Aspen Michael Taylor was my name for a long time. Yeah, and then I changed it back because I had to get a visa to live in Europe, because I wanted to live in Europe. So, and my grandparents are Italian, so the only way that I could get the visa basically was that I changed my name back. And I didn't want to have a stage name because it's just so dumb. And so yeah, that's the exciting story of my name.
Oh, okay. And what was it that got you to want to relocate from Australia to Paris?
It was just kind of a combination of boredom. Like when you grow up you grow up in a place and you live there for your whole life. It's just it back to front, and it's not very interesting anymore. So there was that, and it just also coincided with a period where kind of everything in my life was falling apart and just kind of was just ending. And then I just came to Paris for a vacation, and my friend Dennis was living here at the time, and I came to Paris and fell in love with the place, and just was like, okay, I'm going to move to Paris. So I did, and a month later I was just living here, and I've been here for 11 years, which is kind of crazy, but yeah.
So you what when you started uh, publishing other books, did you expect to be publishing like full length books, or did you kind of just start off just wanting to do zines and chapbooks and wanted to stick with that, or did you?
Yeah, I was kind of more thinking that I was just going to make zines and just little kind of short things. But then somewhere along the line, I guess, people started sending me stuff, and then there was just, it kind of, I was just like, okay, well, why not, publish a novel, or why not publish a longer piece? So yeah, that just kind of happened like that too. And I received like just so many submissions that it's like, I feel guilty like all the time, because I never have time to, barely have time to read through anything. So yeah, it just kind of happened.
And how did you get to know New Duce and Publius Boson?
That came about just because he contacted me, and he got in touch with me and sent me the manuscript, and I knew who he was, and I read the book, and it's fucking amazing. He's like an absolutely amazing writer, and this Boson is just an incredible fucking book, and I was just like have to do this, because it's just so good, and it also it relates to childhood too, so it kind of fit in thematically with what we do, so it was perfect. I don't know if you guys have read the book yet, but it's so amazing.
I think I was introduced to Duce per Ben's recommendation of Mountainhead, and he's kind of an anomaly to me at this point, because I see his name crop up quite often.
Yeah,
and I don't know what it is that makes people rave for him. I just haven't had a chance to delve into the deep dive into his work yet.
Yeah, he's just a absolutely fucking fantastic writer. Like, it's just undeniable. You just read his stuff and just like, okay, this guy's like, he knows what he's doing. It's incredible.
Is it authenticity? Is it his spontaneity, or is it his dramatizing abilities? His abilities to communicate an idea? What is it, you think?
All of the above.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's also a very mysterious guy. Like, I don't think anybody really knows much about him, including me. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, he's an incredible writer. And, really powerful and really kind of, there's this very kind of tactile sensibility to his writing that I find that's very, very, very evocative, and gives you a very clear sense of space and things like that. And it's pretty remarkable.
I have to say, I think that a lot of times the ones who keep them, their personalities, their image, their life, and even their intentions, a mystery, are probably the ones that are doing it the correct way. Because I've found that the more enigmatic you are, and the more it tends to draw more curiosity when you intentionally leave sentences blank about yourself, such as Maynard James Keenan, Sam Pink, who else? Just any J.D. Salinger, all these artists from different mediums who keep themselves so blank that you can impose almost anything onto them, and they'll just shrug or smirk it away and say that you have no idea. I don't know. There is something about that they can become your own Rorschach test, and that's why people flock to them. And accumulate so many. They can accumulate so many admirers.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, there's something so beautiful about a mystery as well, which is always nice. I mean, you look at someone like, to go back to Henry Darger before. I mean, you look at the work, and you look at the guy, and there's all this kind of information in between that's missing, and that's super fascinating, as well. But I think it also comes down to some people just just everyone's different. Some people, some artists, have a incredible ability to be able to communicate in their work, but then also do an interview and speak very eloquently about what they do, and it can enrich the work a lot. And then other people is just it doesn't come as natural to do those sorts of things, or maybe they're just not interested in them. Maybe they're just interested in doing their work and kind of living their life and not really being part of that kind of thing, which I understand too. So.
Well, what was it like, working with Dennis Cooper? I assume you had a contribution to the editing process of some of his work. What is he like? Is he mysterious?
Well, first of all, I don't think anybody edits Dennis, like literally nobody, and I would certainly never attempt to do that at all. Dennis is his own editor, and and then to answer the second part of your question, no, he's not mysterious to me because he's been one of my closest friends for 20 years, almost. Yeah, more than 20 years. So we've been really close friends for a long, long time. But yeah, I don't think anybody edits Dennis at all. I mean, his writing's impeccable. Why would you want to, why would you touch it?
Based on what I've read of him, yeah, I can agree, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's his whole thing is that, he's kind of like, immaculate kind of sentences. So I can't imagine what you would even begin to do to try to edit him. So
I started reading Frisk a while back, and I can pick up and drop a book, at any time for any reason. I'm just like that. But I kind of don't quite understand where it's going, to be honest. It doesn't have that same charm to me as Marbled Swarm, even though I can see the talent in the writing. There are some authors where you can see their talent just blooms out of every turn of phrase and every word. I can see that, but I don't see where it's going and what his intentions are with this narrative, this format.
You're still partway through it? You haven't finished it?
Yes, right.
Yeah. Well, that was his first book as well, so I don't know. I know his second book, actually.
You've also done a book with Peter Sotos called Desistance. What was putting together that like?
No, the book we did with Peter was called Home.
Home, that's what it was. I got it mixed up with that other book of his.
Yeah, that's another book of his. Yeah, that was awesome. Basically, that book is it's pairing his a text that he wrote and some images, a series of images that I created, and they're put together into a book. And basically, that came about just again like a friendship thing because I was friends with him. And I showed him this series that I just made, and I decided that I wanted to put it in a book. And I kind of asked him if he wanted to write something for it. And to my surprise, he said yes, and then came back later with a very, very, very long text when I was kind of just expecting something short. So we put that into a book, and it was only a limited edition of 100 copies, and it sold out immediately, basically. So yeah, it was fun.
It's all you, man.
So of the projects that you've put out so far, which would you say is your personal favorite?
Of other people's stuff?
Let's say both of your own and of other people's.
Oh, God. I can't answer that question. I can't do that. No, I mean, really, to be honest, we don't publish much stuff with Kitty Punk at all. There might be years where we don't publish anything. So everything that I do is like something, that I fucking love to death. Like, and there are things that, I spend, oftentimes, it could be, it's not uncommon to spend years, kind of working on something, with a writer. Not that I'm involved in their writing, but, that a project's kind of going on and we're working on it, behind the scenes for years. So they're all things that I've, invested a lot of, time and kind of effort and into, and, I only publish things that I absolutely love. So, and been super lucky. I mean, kind of everything I put out, I mean, I think it's fucking amazing. I mean, that's why I do it. Yeah. It's got nothing to do with me, but with the other people, it's just stuff that I love. Like, so I definitely can't pick a favorite.
So you've also put out music. I've listened to some of it. It's very experimental and reverb heavy, from what I heard.
Yeah, it's not really even music. It's kind of sound art. I don't know. But yeah, they're yeah. I don't know what they are really. Weird little things. But they also had a lot of Hanson in them, which it keeps popping up in all the sound things that I've done. Is like, because I was really obsessed with the band Hanson, and I would take their songs and like put them in GarageBand and like apply like insane amounts of reverb onto Hanson songs, and for some reason that just extremely aroused me and kind of like sparked my imagination. So I would do that, and then I made these sound things, and then all of a sudden they just kind of pop up into these Hanson songs. So again, for some reason, I don't know why.
Are you a fan of? Oh no, go ahead, Ben.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, I did notice that Hanson does pop up in your work, and that they had the one project which was basically just Hanson songs with a ton of reverb on it, and
exactly.
One of your first scenes was called Sebastian, which was almost like a Hanson fanzine.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, I had a very long, well-documented Hanson obsession. So yeah, they're very present in my work, especially my early stuff. And I've done so much fucking stuff with them, like zines, video works, and all sorts of shit.
Do you still listen to them?
I not so much, but I mean, I love that the Middle of Nowhere record, their big famous record. It's like so fucking amazing. Like, so if I ever need it, I will go put it on, and it's always delivers what I want from it. So
see, as a metalhead, I can't accept Hanson as a musical anything. I just can't do it.
Well,
you're not looking at it right. You're not looking at it right.
What's wrong with Radiohead? Like, all the weirdos love Radiohead, right? I love Radiohead. I mean,
listen. If you listen to some of Hanson's like their post bop work, they actually they're a legit band. They're a legit indie sounding band. I'm pretty sure Zach would really like them.
Totally a legit band. I mean, even when they made that, the Middle of Nowhere record, I mean, they're all songs that they wrote them all themselves. They're not like some hired kind of thing that somebody put together. They're like, they've been making, they were making music since they were, really little kids. And, that's another thing I kind of love about them as well. And they're also from Oklahoma, which I'm kind of obsessed with Oklahoma. And
now, what is that about? What is it in Oklahoma? I know you've got some books. What, teenage Satanists in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
What is about that state? Have you visited?
I have visited it, but basically it kind of started with I mean, I was obsessed with tornadoes, and Oklahoma's like ground zero for tornadoes. Sure. And then I was obsessed with Hanson, and then I realized that they were from Oklahoma too. So somehow the two things kind of fused into my head, and I kind of imagined, the Hanson kids before they were famous. Like, there's all these videos of them, and they're like performing at, some crappy, shopping mall. And I just kind of, I loved the idea of these kids doing that. And, all the while there's like these huge tornadoes that are just like ripping the whole kind of place apart. It's just so kind of beautiful. So it for some reason those two things fused in my imagination, and it's it's basically fed so much fucking work of mine. So yeah, I don't know. It's demented, but
I see Ken Bauman's name in here. I read both Solip and Say Cut Map, and I don't think that they are given over to any kind of narrative. Really, to me, it's more like how he's trying to see how much he can sexy up his stream of consciousness, like almost vomiting sessions, vomiting up words in unique, forms and such. If there is a deeper meaning in either of those books, I'm missing it, but it's lovely language, that looks nice, to read in your mind. I also liked his treatment, his analysis of the video game Earthbound that he wrote for Boss Fight Books. That
yeah, I haven't read that actually. I want to read that. I've been meaning to read that.
love Boss Fight Books. It's a brilliant idea. Get the professional authors to riff on the true meanings and the developmental history of these video games that were, cult hits or fairly.
Yeah, exactly.
What is this Bauman chapbook here about? The sky went red while he was inside. Is that also referencing a tornado? It looks like.
Yeah, I mean the artwork is, but no, the book isn't. I believe that book was he'd sent me like a very long manuscript, which probably ended up being one of his first novels. Yeah, I think. So he sent me this manuscript, and he was basically like, do what you want with it. So I kind of just went through it and pulled parts out of it that I thought would work together and that would form some sort of narrative. And so yeah, it kind of that one kind of came out in that way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to go back even further, what did where did the term kiddie punk kind of come from?
I probably shouldn't say. To be honest,
that doesn't sound good.
I think it was.
Let's
it's
just
kind
leave
of
it at that.
I know where it came from. Epstein's Island.
Yes.
Oh man, can
you want to say no? You want to say no? Okay.
Man, can you imagine the fucking attention if one of those QAnon types found some of your artwork in, I don't know, one of those someone connected to that? I don't know if you followed the whole Pizzagate thing, but there was like a weird thing where people who had edgy art, they used that as like proof they were like satanic pedophiles or whatever.
Yeah, it's I don't know
dumb
about that specifically, but I don't know. I think I mean the world's fucking crazy at the moment. According to me, I think it's like mass hysteria. Like yeah, I mean like I said before, my work is definitely not for most people. I mean, yeah, it's just not. It's for myself, and I don't know. I think that there's a very, 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 very small group of people that are maybe interested in it, but and that's the way that it should be, really.
I did the other night watch the one short film you did. It was called Ellery Paints a Tornado, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was about it's going back to your tornado theme, but it's about the person in it. He was a face paint artist, and he had lost his brother in a tornado.
Yeah.
And his house was destroyed, and he, as a way of sort of kind of facing that fear, he does like a face paint design of a tornado. I thought
Exactly.
that was a really beautiful video.
Yeah. Thanks. I really like that film. It's really I just the guy Ellery that's in the film. I mean, he speaks so kind of beautifully and says all these really kind of profound things, and that has absolutely nothing to do with me. It's just things that he said, and so it's a beautiful film. But yeah, the idea is that he's to kind of face his fears. He has to paint himself as a tornado. Yeah.
Kind of facing your fear. Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be kind of what it is in the film, and he talks a lot about fear and things that his kind of phobias, and he also talks, about kind of suicide and things like that, but in a really kind of sad and moving, but yet kind of triumphant kind of way, and I really love that kind of. It's kind of complicated and messy and beautiful, the things that he says in the film. So, yeah, I really like that one.
I still don't understand this flirtation with Peter Sotos, and I mean, I've been given to understand that the guy is 100% a predator, and I don't know anything about him, other than what I've heard. I've never read him, but I mean, what can be gained by working with someone? And I understand that there are lynch mobs and witch hunts all over the internet for all the dumbest things you can imagine, and that this guy has been under attack, come under attack, in obscenity trial at least once, and is the guy basically a 100% like criminally deviant individual, or what is he? What even is he? I don't know anything about him.
He's an artist. He's a writer, and a fucking amazing one too.
But isn't he preoccupied with some predatory subject matter that may be exploitationist? That's the vibe I get every time I hear people talk about him anyway. And you understand what I'm alluding to, right?
His books are all about one specific thing, so which is child pornography, essentially.
It's not glorifying it though, right?
It's
See the pause in your
look,
voice.
the thing is with him that I find is that you have to read him to understand what it is, and he's one of those people that you also kind of need to learn how to read, because he's completely singular. There's nobody else like him, and you read his stuff and you don't know where to put it because there's no kind of pre-existing place in your head, of where does this go? What is this? Is this memoir? Is it like reportage? Is it, what is it? And so you really have to kind of read him to really kind of to get really what it is he's doing. But he's doing something that is extremely valuable, and something that nobody else has or can do. He's really a genius.
But you can't put your finger on what he is trying to achieve, but you think that it's valuable. And I'm not, trying to come off as antagonistic. I'm just trying to understand, because, I have some misgivings based on what I have heard, and I'm usually like overly fair to most authors and artists, with in regards to stigma from a large, population. But you think that you say that he has value, but you're not sure what he is trying to achieve with his books, and that makes me uneasy. And I'll leave it at that. But I just don't know.
Well, I think you'd have to ask him what he's trying to achieve, because I'm not him, and I don't know what he's trying to achieve.
Right. I apologize for making you responsible for him. I don't mean it that way. It's just we're trying to really fully represent your imprint, your publishing arm.
Yeah, sure. I think I think if you want to know what it is that he does, I think you should read his books, and they're really not for everybody at all. They're intense, and it's part of they're very powerful, and very complicated, and he is super intelligent, probably the most intelligent person I've ever met in my life. He's insane. Yeah, you just have to read it. It's completely singular, and it's, you know, you either get something from it, you know, like I do, or you don't get something from it, and yeah, you know, that's fine. That's just the way it is, and you know, it's definitely looking at and dealing with subject matter and emotions that, you know, most people really, really don't want to look at, including people that are into, you know, transgressive things, you know, like quote unquote.
Well, that was my next question, and then I'll leave it at this.
Mm-hmm.
Does the value that you claim he has, is it the same kind of value one gets from, say, reading an Edward Lee novel, who is like one of the best examples of transgressive literature in the underground that I can think of? I mean, are they the same kind of value and sentiment, or are they entirely different?
I don't know who Edward Lee is, so I'm unfamiliar with his work, so I don't know, but I doubt very much.
See, I'm looking at this through an American lens, so and when I think of it outside of that, of course, you wouldn't necessarily know who Edward Lee is.
Yeah, but yeah,
Edward Lee's pretty popular in Germany.
Okay. I doubt that it's similar to Peter's work.
No.
What about Irvine Welsh? I'm sorry. What about Irvine Welsh? And then you can take over for the duration. What about Irvine Welsh, though?
I haven't read Irvine Welsh, but no, like definitely no. I don't think.
Not the same thing. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Peter Soos is kind of sui generis.
You got to read him. Like you got to read him to get. He's really doing his own thing. That's not just me kind of talking bullshit.
I think I'm afraid to. How do I know people wouldn't knock down my door?
Yeah,
and it's kind of hard because, like, I think pretty much all of his books are out of print and expensive right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Subject matter alarms me on a visceral level, and but I mean,
like, to give you an idea, I think one of the things he is in that's still in print is Gates of Janus by Feral House Books, which is written by the serial killer Ian Brady.
Yeah,
a legitimate serial killer.
Yeah, you don't know Ian Brady and Myra Hindley?
I know. I've heard the name Myra Hindley. That's a case from the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, the Moors murders.
Oh yeah, okay. The duct tape around all the way around the head.
Yeah,
that was horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Sotos wrote the wrote like an outro or a postlogue to that book, and basically throughout the entire prologue, he just shits on Ian Brady, basically saying the whole book was a bad idea because, of course, Ian Brady is gonna fucking try to lie and manipulate people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's one notch on his belt, I guess. You know, in light of other things I've heard during the last 10 minutes. So yeah, go ahead, Ben. Finish up. We got to get ready for tonight, obviously, where we got a shitload of things to talk about. But this has been, eye-opening in some ways, and we are who we are. And so, go ahead, Ben.
So, tell us a little bit about the upcoming feature film that you're working on, Giants. You said it was.
Yeah, it's called Giant. Basically, it's like I said, it's a story that I have had in my head for 20 years. And so it's been this thing that I've been kind of carrying around with me for a long time. And I've been slowly working on it over that period. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, I asked my friend Mark Gluth to work with me on taking all of these ideas and putting them into a screenplay. And so we spent 5 years doing that, and then we shot it last year, and it was shot completely. I paid for the whole film myself because I needed to shoot with this the actor that's in the film. I wanted to shoot with him, and he was at the particular age at this particular moment, and I was like, we have to shoot this movie right now. So I just kind of thought, okay, let's just make this movie. And so I paid for it myself, and I made it in a way that I love to do, which is making it almost completely by myself. It was just me and a sound recordist, and then an assistant and things like that. So it was completely very, very small production, which is the way that I like to make movies. So basically it's about this father and his two children have just died at the start of the film. They're already dead, and then he receives this boy shows up on his doorstep, this teenage boy, and he looks exactly like his dead son. And basically he kind of this kid ends up staying at his house, and the father dresses him in his dead son's clothes and bathes him and feeds him and things like that. So that's kind of the general gist of the movie.
Okay, that definitely sounds a pretty fascinating. So I'll look forward to that. Do you have plans to send it to theaters or just release it online or what?
Probably do the festival, the film festival thing. I guess that's what people do. But it's like I said, because I'm working on my own kind of on my own clock with the film too. So I've already been editing it for over a year, and who knows, I may spend another 10 years editing it for all I know. So who knows.
Okay, and are there any other projects that you're currently working on?
I have a book that's going to come out later on in the year through Infinity Land Press, which is a great publisher in the UK, and it's a photography book, which is coming out. And also I'm shooting another film at the end of the year here in France. So lots of stuff going on as usual.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you want to plug before we let you go?
No, not really.
Okay. So you can visit kittypunk.com to purchase books from Kitty Punk, and your newly launched website with a bunch of your own work annotated. That's michaelsalerno.net.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very
it was
much
nice
for
to talk
coming
to you
on.
guys.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you.
Hey, thanks very much. Bye.
All right. Talk to you later.
Well, Zach, what are your impressions?
What do you mean? Like of him or of Kitty Punk?
All of it. Yeah.
Well, I can't really say much about Kitty Punk because I mean I've been familiar with them for a long time and went to their websites and looked at some of the gift novels. I've not read a full one yet, but
I was always impressed with that idea. I thought that was an interesting idea to experiment with.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I've read some reviews where people say that it doesn't go over too well, but that might just be because they're kind of starting I guess a new thing. I don't know. I'm sure other people have done similar things, but that doesn't mean that like everyone knows about every other gift novel. So each one kind of could be like an innovation at this point. But as far as him, I mean, I can't really say anything. I'm not familiar enough. I just know him from this interview, and I get what you mean by some of the Kitty Punk covers. But I mean, I kind of get what he means. Not that like, I mean, I don't think he's like a pedophile or anything, which is what I think you're insinuating. But
no, I'm occupying that space where I'm asking questions that could go either way on that, but I'm not trying to paint him as anything like some, witch hunting SJW. I think I was, pretty respectful, and I gave him accolades on some points, right? So I thought I was fair, but I still had questions that I had to ask,
Yeah, I don't think you were really out of line. And I made the Epstein joke, which I mean that was obviously a joke, so.
He may not be familiar with Epstein. I don't know the way he responded to that. He may not have been in on the joke. I don't know. Ben, were you happy with that? What are your thoughts coming away from that? You read him more than anybody. You read these kinds of books more than anybody. What do you think?
I thought it was a pretty good interview. I probably would have been more alert if I had woken up earlier because I stayed up late and didn't wake up until like noon.
Yeah, and just think we've got like what, at least 3 or 4 more hours to go tonight, huh? Well, I mean, unless things kind of fall flat, but we got so much to get through. I don't see how it could.
But yeah, at least now I can make a cup of coffee beforehand so I can be a little bit more awake and aware. But I am glad that we got to get him on because I do admire what Kitty Punk is doing, and I do, like some of his own artwork. So I was pretty happy we could get him on.
Mm-hmm. I think that I noticed that because we're doing 2 today, we will soon be at the door of 85 episodes here. We're rapidly approaching episode 100. We got to think of something special to do for that.
We should like when we do the 100th episode, we should play that Aqua Teen Hunger Force 100 song.
Oh, I'm not familiar, but I'll look into it. Yeah, I loved some Aqua Teen Hunger Force, some of it, and what Aqua something Hunger Squad or something. What did they changed?
It was always Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but they always changed. But they changed around the name during the opening credits for as just sort of like a joke.
Well, no. What about the thing where rape them and kill them and eat them? Not even in that order. They changed that. What was Aqua something? I don't know.
No, they didn't. They never changed the name of the show. They just changed it around in like the opening credits as like a joke, like Aqua Patrol Squad and things like that. It was just kind of like a dumb joke. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that Scooby Doo parody is pretty funny. Where they run into that was in the 100 episode. They run into the 100 monster and the I guess the Daphne character. The 100 monster points to her as, can I take her into the woods and rape her and kill her and eat her? Possibly not in that order.
And then he does, and they're talking about it like it's like, oh well, that's another case wrapped in the bag, in the bag. Another successful case solved, and you can hear her screaming off frame.
The latest season actually got really gross. Remember that one episode where Frylock wraps a dead corpse around himself to try to impress a girl?
No, I don't. That's great though.
Yeah,
everybody loves that Adult Swim humor. How if you're creative or jaded at all, or you come from a certain age, you how can anyone not appreciate Adult Swim humor?
Yeah. I really like that one episode where those missionary fruits came over. I remember that one.
Nah, I remember the Moonanites, but I don't remember. Speaking of the moon, I cannot believe. I'll talk about this more tonight when we get into our reads of the week or month or whatever. But Terry Goodkind actually took his main character, Richard Rawl, to another planet in his sword and sorcery, like, fantasy series, and I'm appalled and also fascinated at how he managed to not really pull it off, but I mean he milked it for what he could, and it's really odd, and I'll talk about that more tonight. I will forever refer to it as the Richard Rawl Goes to Mars novel. Unfucking believable. I'll get into it tonight. What else do we have to look forward to now? I know we got a famous YouTuber who plugs us tonight at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to figuring out who this is. You dropped some hints, but
you'll never see him coming. You'll never see him coming. They are male. That's all I'll say. What else?
Oh, heck, is it Revenge of the Sith?
No, unfortunately. But you probably aren't familiar with them, which is another reason you won't guess. But what else do we have on tap for tonight? We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Well, I'm hoping that I get some bites on my little. I won't even call it troll bait because I am serious about it. Just looking through that whole drama with
They're
Matt
afraid.
Hayward, Duncan Ralston.
They're afraid of being humiliated, challenged, or yelled at, and so I don't think any of them are bold enough. Christoph was the only one from that side who had any character or balls to come forward and talk and try to resolve things. Christoph to date is the only one that I can think of, and you know, we have not said a bad word about each other since, as far as I know. You know, but so I doubt any of them will, to be honest. But we're going to talk about this shit nonetheless, because Brian Keene has once again overestimated his own power and what respect he is due in this fucking grandfather mode where he's out to protect all the women from any inappropriate comments. You know, we're adults here. You know, people forget. What do you want to be, children forever and not? It's God. Never mind. We'll talk about it tonight. What else? What else? Anything else, Zach?
Well, we have the philosophy professor Ben Burgess coming on as well.
Right. That's at the top, right after the YouTuber plug. So
Yeah, another
Right.
zero books author.
And
He
that
was
guy
also-
may anger me as well. I don't know, but I'm going to try to let my reptilian mind, assume position until I've heard his case.
Now, I've got one question about Zero Books, because I mean, I've been interested in them for a while, and I was looking up their catalog. They're connected with John Hunt Publishing, which, as far as I know, is like a vanity press that has like a ton of different kind of generic sounding imprints, so that the books that are published, like you can not know they're from a vanity publisher. But Zero Books appears to be a little different, and like they're actually going for quality. Is it still a vanity publishing operation, or is it like a legit publishing operation wherein Douglas picks the books and they don't charge authors outrageous costs for like
I think
printing?
David Blacker also selects the books that get the green light, unless he is bowed out of all that.
But
Yeah,
is it still a vanity press?
No, I think they're pretty legit. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Douglas Lane. He came on here and talked about his editorial process for it, kind of. And they publish a wide range of things. Ben Burgess's book is like almost like a introduction and or refresher on basic logic, and he talks about why he believes it's important for leftists.
See, Zach, we're not going to be able to relate to this guy, except I think on the grounds that you said that he takes call out or cancel culture to task in his most recent offering.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it hasn't been published yet. It's forthcoming, but his next book is called "Canceling Comedians While the World Burns," where he
that's a valid subject right now. Absolutely.
where he talks about why he believes that call out and cancel culture has been so toxic, especially for the left.
That actually might be topically sound in comparison, in relation to what else we have to talk about tonight. So yeah, it makes sense. Funny how things just kind of work out and congeal like that,
Okay, so no one thinks that we're gonna get Brian Keene or Mary Giovanni to come on here.
Oh, dude, honestly, no.
Yeah, no, I don't think
No.
that. But I would like to get someone who might, even be kind of peripheral to the drama to explain some of the questions that I have in that blog post.
I
can see that it's been viewed a lot. So,
I approached Matt Hayward himself, who wrote a masterpiece named Practitioners. I said, let us help you. We stand to gain nothing but more hate from this, but let us help you. Strictly on the grounds that to get your side out there and to say, hey, enough with the abuse, the slandering, and false witnessing. No response, and I think he may have even ghosted himself on Goodreads. So there you go. He's going to roll over and take it up the ass from these monsters, and he's going to let Brian Keene get first crack at him.
Yeah, and the thing is, if my dang speculations like have any weight to them, it means that Hayward was like set up for this in some way, a way that we don't know. I believe he was set up. I mean,
Let's
How do you set that up? Is like because
I
I'm
don't
like
know
what I'm trying to say is I don't know if the response was appropriate, but I mean the messages seem legit, and he admitted to
well now Zach has
going after the girl
Zach has
who
been doing a
complained
lot of
about
legwork.
him.
Zach has been doing a lot of legwork on this. He has more information that we'll save for tonight, though. So
yeah. Well, I'll just throw out the one thing out there. It's not
it's never
confirmed.
okay to blacken someone's reputation professionally and personally, unless they, in my eyes, unless they have been convicted in the eyes of the law. I was even fair to Salerno a minute ago, and I feel I have some reservations about some of the people he publishes. So I stand by what I mean and what I believe when I say that the witch hunting and lynch mobbing has to stop 100% definitely.
It does, and I'll throw this out here because this really is the cornerstone of everything. It is not confirmed, and I've heard it said by a lot of people. Like, because I mean, I've talked to people, somewhat involved in this. They won't, come on the show or anything, but it's not confirmed that Matt Hayward like originated that first photoshopped screenshot. Now he did create a freaking
wait. We're giving away too much now. Let's save it for tonight. We gotta catch our breath and get ready for everything that we're saving for tonight. It's a packed episode. Let's leave it there. We've teased just enough for somebody to show up. I don't know who, but they won't. They probably will be ghosts. They won't try to come on and advocate or even go on the offensive. They just don't have it in them to think on their feet on the live.
The thing is, if it's Matt Hayward, he needs to come on here if he didn't create the original screenshot.
No, I have a feeling he's going to let them run roughshod over his career, reputation, and marriage without any kind of, will or defiance of one who is interested in self-preservation. He's just going to let it happen. So, the rest of them do, they fucking roll over like cowards.
That is what they do.
We'll discuss this tonight. So, this was an early episode because Mike Salerno is in Paris, so and we had to rearrange a time in order to talk to him. But we will be talking to Ben Burgess, going a little bit over the Matt Hayward drama and other things. So tune in tonight.
That will be after Burgess because we want to leave enough room to really expound on that. Yeah.
So tune in tonight, same bat time, same bat channel.
But wait, we still have some things to plug before we go, and we'll try to do it again tonight. But Zach's Indie Rock Cabin is officially for sale, is it not?
Yeah, it's for sale in paperback and Kindle. And I've got a little thing going on, which I only posted about once, but I'm going to make it permanent on my blog. It's a Indie Rock Dinosaur indierockdinosaur.wordpress.com.
I think it's not dinosaur.wordpress, isn't it?
No, it's indierockdinosaur.wordpress.com. And I have 3 signed books up there, 2 copies of Swamp Beast and 1 of Hospitalized Factory of Pain. If anyone buys those, I will give you a free copy of Indie Rock Cabin in paperback.
And also,
Dr.
July
Sun.
10th. July 10th.
July 10th, this Friday. You can pre-order it on Kindle, or the physical copies will be available on the 10th as well.
That is Dr. Sodom and Mrs. Gomorrah.
It is funny. I actually read it last night.
Yeah, thanks both of you for the very kind words.
Yeah. I'm not usually given to poetry. We'll get to it tonight. All right, thank you guys. Let's catch our breath and get ready for the real shit to go down tonight. So.
Sorry. Just one more thing that I want to plug before we go. I did finally release some new music. Been wanting to do that for years, but I finally did. You can download the album for free at thedyingnun.bandcamp.com.
Okay, I was mostly right on that. The Dying Nun.
Yes.
Why don't we play us out with that? With something. Okay. You want to?
Sure.
I love how you could tell that freaking you could tell it's freaking Ben, and for some reason that's funny.
Yeah, you can. I like that picture. I just took it when I was outside at night, and thought it looked really cool.
Disable audio processing. About to enter an echo chamber, gentlemen. So
Okay.
enjoy The Dying Nun. Go ahead.
I'd recommend the second song.
Untitled.
Yeah, first one's a little more intro-y.
Okay. All right. See you guys in a few hours. Thanks.
All right. Talk to you later.
Is it going to explode?